Yo, what's going on? Working to live or living to pay bills, right? Majority of Americans right now are in a slump. They're in a jam, and they find themselves just in the what they call rat race, right? So my question is, are you living, or are you just living to pay bills? And it also comes with a question of, when is it all going to end? It's like it's a repetitive cycle. You're doing the same thing over and over and over again, thinking that a specific outcome is going to happen if you per se work harder or take on, an extra responsibility. Maybe that will help you, pay this bill, pay that bill. And it's stressful, man. It's stressful to the average American. Like, they can't even really take the time out to go and, go to a family event anymore. You can't take the time out to go to a child's event because you're too busy, wrapped up into the cycle, into the simulation. And the simulation is what we call jobs right now. It's like all you find yourself doing is stressing about paying bills. You're stressing about getting this paid, getting that paid. You can't even go to sleep. It's crazy work. I had this conversation with my daughter, and it was pretty cool. I really enjoyed that conversation. It was because I like to challenge her mind, because she's a very intelligent young lady, and she's going to be something very special. So my question to her was, and I got a nickname for her, but I'm not going to say it out because, that's, our family nickname, So my question to her was, I said, how do you know even what year you're in right now, let alone the time and date? How do you know what year that you're in? And she just kind of, looked up, and was pondering. And I'm just looking. I'm just, waiting for her answer. And her answer was, "Oh, Dad, that's easy. We just go and we look in our phones, and we find it, in our phones, and it gives us the time, the date, and the year." I said, "Okay, cool. But where did they get it from?" And she just looks up and she goes, "Well, I'm sure that they got it from somebody else." And my point was that a lot of us are so stuck in the cycle, man. We're so stuck in the simulation. We don't even know, what year we're actually in. And the whole thing was that I wanted her to understand that time doesn't really move in a cyclical circle, right? We have an atomic clock, right, that goes, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12 a.m. And then you repeat that, and it's p.m. But all you see is just the same revolving cycle over and over and over again. It doesn't really navigate what year or what specific date or none of that. I said, hey, and I set the nickname. I don't want to put it out there, but I said, look, ancient civilizations and people before us, they used to navigate to understand what year they were in based on the Earth's orbit and based on the constellation of the stars. They didn't have none of this stuff, where you just can look everything up, or you have to depend on what somebody else thought. They navigated through constellation of the stars and the orbit of the Earth. And she was kind of blown away. She was, thinking about that, and it made a whole lot of sense, because, like I said, we're so stuck in a simulation. We really don't understand, where we're at in time. stressed out about paying bills and, you know, this, that, and the third. You know, so it's a real repetitive thing. And I wanted to challenge her mind to have her understand that life's a lot deeper than what mainstream media projects it to be. It's not just about social media. It's not just about, you know, what you could look up, or just about going to a 9 to 5 and paying bills and things of that sort, because I don't want her to have that type of mindset. It's crazy because when you think about it, most Americans can't really think beyond their next paycheck. As soon as they get paid, more than likely, they already know that's spent and they thinking about the next paycheck. And you know that I'm right for the majority of Americans out there. And statistically, it's showing that people are actually picking up multiple jobs. I remember back in the 90s and the early 2000s, I was a young character, and you know, my folks, you know, only worked relatively one job. I was raised by my grandmother and my grandfather, and they worked off a relatively you know, one job, because the economy and the finances and stuff were different. It allowed you to do so. Now you can't. You know, people are picking up multiple jobs, 3 jobs at that. How would you be able to spend the type of time that you want if you have to live life that way? You can't. So another question comes to mind. When you're 70 years old, will you be healthy enough to enjoy that time, to enjoy whatever finances or resources you have left? Will you be healthy enough to enjoy that at 70 years old? Because that's where it's going. It might be 80 in the next 5 years, because it's not getting better per se. So think about that, guys. Are you working to live, or are you living to pay bills? Let me know what you guys think. It's the voice of the people. I'm out.